What's up? Will here with Red Enthusiast, my YouTube channel about Porsche ownership. And if you are here because you are seeking Porsche 996 content, I have great news for you, because in this video I'm going to take you through footage of my buying this particular new to me C4S and driving it home over the course of 3 days from Wisconsin. So to get you up to speed, if this is your first time on my channel, broadly speaking, I've spent the past 6 or so years buying, enjoying, experiencing, selling, reviewing various Porsches, mostly 911s on this channel. And I have done, I guess, a little over 200 videos on it. If you're into Porsche content, please subscribe. By the way, I constantly pump out what has been called straight shooter, down to earth Porsche content. So if that's your thing, definitely follow along. Over the course of all of this experiencing, I had not yet owned a Porsche 996. I had admittedly just kind of avoided it because it was the redheaded stepchild of the 911 world, and anyway, I just decided it was time to experience one. So I put out a couple videos on this journey. I published a want to buy video, so I shared with my viewers what I was looking for, and then I followed that video up with a video covering what cars had been sent to me, and I'll link the playlist to these videos at the end of this video, by the way. The third video was a reveal of the pre-purchase inspection report that I got on this particular car. I talked to you guys through what the findings were and what my thought process was on what was discovered and whether or not I wanted to proceed, and clearly I'm sitting in this car right now and I did want to proceed. In this video, I'm gonna take you on the trip to Wisconsin. I'm going to let you meet the seller. I'm going to then get you on the road with me, and I'm going to give you kind of my unfiltered, unbiased thoughts on what it was like driving this car. During the trip, I was able to sneak in some mountain driving, and so I'll talk with you guys a little bit about what that was like as well. At the end of the video, I'm going to share with you what exactly I paid for this car. Let us now jump into it. Okay, here it is, the 2004 996 C4S that I have selected as being the right example to put in the garage. I am currently 1,000 miles from home. I flew in last night to evaluate this car and determine whether or not it was the one I wanted to purchase. After driving it, after chatting some more with the seller, this is indeed the car that will be added. And here is the seller, John.
Hey guys.
Now, we are in the garage because it is hot outside, so please pardon the light difference. We'll do the best we can here. So what I thought might be a little bit fun is for John just to tell us about his experience with the car. Part of the reason he's selling it is because he has a brand new T out here, which I think he hadn't even gotten out of break-in yet, right?
Correct.
So John, you and I have conversed a lot about the car, and you've told me what you know, but why don't you tell the viewers what you know about it?
Yeah, great. Well, I think this is a car I've owned for about 2.5 years. I bought it from Glen Shelley Auto Brokers in Colorado, from Alex McCullough. I traded a 2005 E46 M3 competition that I was done with, and so I have always wanted to have a Porsche 911. In fact, when a much younger version of myself, I had a 1968 911L that as soon as I got it, I started dismantling it to fix it, and then got into having a family, and unfortunately had to sell that car before I got it put back together. So it's been something for me that's been a long time coming, wanting to have a 911 to drive. When I made the decision to get this car, I was kind of looking for equal money. I didn't want to put a lot more into getting a different 911. This one happened to be the right one. Once I received it, though, I realized that it was kind of unique, and for me, I really enjoy things that are just a little bit different. I know there's a lot of 996s. This one has the X51 power pack on it, and I really like how that adds some fun to the driving for this model. This has been a great car. I've not had any major issues with it. I knew that when I bought it, I wanted to buy a car that had the IMS bearing and clutch and some of the usual things that would need to be addressed for the model and the year, and that had been done before I got it. I've not done any major modifications. I think the biggest thing I've done is probably put Cocoa mats on the inside, and I did also swap out the head unit and put in the latest PCCM Plus in place of what was there. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, Will. I've enjoyed it quite a bit, and I'm happy it's going to the next owner and that's you.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, it's, I just drove it. It's really interesting. I've driven some earlier 996s, but this one right here, it feels more composed. And when I say that, it feels more solid. Now, I don't know if that's about the all-wheel drive and the additional weight up front, but I just will say that the interior does not You know, a lot of people will tell you how cheap it feels, and I don't get that from this car. I mean, there's no rattles, there's no squeaks. It just feels like the fit and finish is strong. So that will be good for me as I cross 1,000 miles to get back to North Carolina. So I'm really stoked about the car. I mean, it's gonna need some things. I'm realistic. I have enough experience with these to know that, you know, it's just probably some fluid changes. I do know that, for instance, this suspension is gonna have to get done. I think, is it original? I guess you don't know, you would imagine.
No, it is original,
okay.
yeah.
Yep, so that was revealed in the PPI that's something that's gonna need attention, at least the control arm bushings. John, I can't thank you enough for you know, reaching out to me. He responded to one of my to my initial videos saying, hey, I want to buy one of these cars. So he reached out. He's been wonderful to work with, very forthcoming, helpful with the PPI. So yeah, it's been pleasant. And if you guys have been watching, you know, for me, part of my, like, I guess I should say, like, ownership enjoyment equation is a solid vibe with the seller. And so I got to say that that's been my experience. So John, we will stay in touch, my friend.
That's great. It's been great, Will. Thank you very much.
All right, I'm 30 miles in. I wanted to give you some of my initial impressions of this C4S before, like, I become desensitized or I lose my fresh perspective on it. If you're a car guy, you probably know what I mean. Like, right out of the gate, you can kind of spot differences and similarities to other cars you've driven, but as you put in more seat time, you kind of lose sight of maybe some of the nuances. So this car right here feels very solid. It feels well put together. It doesn't have any of these kind of cheap feeling traits that some people talk about with the 996. Now, that said, I have read that the C4S has kind of an upscale trim. It's full leather. It feels like it's more solid. I have not noticed that the all-wheel drive feeling is intrusive. It doesn't necessarily numb the front end of the vehicle. It definitely has a little bit of a different feel than my C2s, but I like it. And the whole idea here with this purchase was not only to share with you guys what the experience of, like, sourcing, vetting, inspecting, purchasing these cars is about. For me, it was about adding more variety to the garage. And I think we're going to be able to accomplish that goal. So a couple things I've noticed, though. The suspension on this thing is shit. The original suspension, it's trash. It is tired. It definitely wanders at higher speed. One odd thing, and I'm pretty sure this is balance, but there's a vibration like over 80 miles an hour. It seems to go away under 80. My thinking is it's either tire balance, or it could be related to the worn control arm bushings, and so at least I'm hoping that's what it is. Day two has begun. I covered 300 miles yesterday, seemingly trouble-free. Parked the thing in a parking garage last night. If you've ever done this before, you know, you walk out, you kind of wonder when you're in the city, like, what is going to have happened to the car. Thankfully, nothing. Car started up this morning, no smoke that I could see. Did kind of rattle some, probably normal motor operation, and also it's got the sport exhaust on it, so I know those make a lot of noise cold. That's been my experience with mine. So far, very, very pleased with the car. For you 996 people out there, you are right. This car delivers a lot of value for the money. It's got charm to it. As I'm looking around in here, by the way, I can see, like, the ethos of the 993. It's subtle, and I'll cover that, you know, in a review video. I'll get into it in more detail. I need more time to think about it. A successful start to the day with maybe another 7 hours seat time. 250 miles into day two, still running smoothly. Not much to report here. I did start to do some measurement on the oil just to see if the thing's consuming oil, and car's had about 1,800 miles on it since the last oil change based on the decal I've got here on the windshield. And when I measured it, still measuring at the top, I don't know yet what, like, acceptable oil consumption is on a 996, if any. You know, my air-cooled cars, like, they definitely burn oil. I think the 993, for example, the tolerance is like 800 to 1,000 miles. It's okay for it to burn a quart. Something tells me that's not the case with this car, but, you know, hey, Google's my friend. I'll go do some research, just not exactly this moment. Just crossed into Ohio. just making my way, man. Day 3, probably 700 miles into the trip. Stayed overnight in Charleston, West Virginia. And when you're doing a trip like this, you know, you experience the car for many hours, and the time goes from having fun and learning it to towards the end of like 7 hours, you're like just ready to get out. But I've had a chance to step back, kind of sleep on it, take my mind off the car, put it back on the car, and my impressions are pretty much the same. This is a comfortable car. The sports seats will wear on you a little bit. I mean, I'd be lying to you if I didn't say I kind of vacillate a little bit between not caring about more scoring to being a little bit nervous about more scoring to just not even thinking about it. And I think that's going to be part of the journey. And so a couple things so far. I got 3.5 hours this morning. It's going to be a beautiful drive. I'm finally into some mountainous areas in West Virginia, going down into Virginia. So I was really excited yesterday towards the end of the day. Started to get into hills. This trip out of Wisconsin has been a lot of flat land with nothing interesting to see. All right, I've had a chance to rip on this car a little bit more than I have so far this trip. So you get into West Virginia, you got like the West Virginia Turnpike, you got some pretty sharp curves. Granted, it's higher speed stuff. So I've had a chance to push on the car, especially on a couple of exit and entrance ramps. And this car has a ton of body roll. It's the factory suspension. I like the comfort. I touched on it earlier that it's been nice with these rough roads to have that. But man, it doesn't want to stay planted. I don't know that I felt like I was going to lose it or anything, but certainly it rolled some. I was able to get the front end to pull me around once. Call it a hard left on stout acceleration. Sorry, I'm a little distracted here. And it was interesting. It was an interesting sensation. It like pulled me around. So it'll be interesting to see what this car does once I get some decent suspension on it. Another thought that I have is, this car, I can see now that I'm getting into a little bit of spirited driving. Like, you're going to have to embrace this car for what it is and what it isn't. I'm so used to rear-wheel drive, Carrera 2, driving dynamics that this is a little bit. It is indeed heavy on the front end, and I don't know, man. It's really early in the game to say this. I'm not sure I would want this to be my only 911. Now, please don't misunderstand what I'm saying here. I don't regret buying it. I like the car. I'm really excited about exploring it, but the front end feels planted. I think that's really going to be fun, around a town from a comfort perspective, but I can't wait to try it in the switchbacks and see if it enhances or inhibits the driving experience. Okay, guys, closing in on home, and I'm absolutely beat. This, the third day of the trip home from Wisconsin back to North Carolina in my new-to-me 996 C4S. This has been an interesting voyage, a long one, about 1,000 miles, and it started with meeting the seller, and it proceeded into the first few hundred miles and like trust building and just waiting for something to give out on me or whatever, which didn't happen. So the car has performed quite nicely the whole time. I've given you guys some commentary about, pluses and minuses of it. Today was a really interesting day though, because I had a chance to take this car and really rip some switchbacks. And so it was an interesting experience. The factory suspension definitely contributes to body roll, but like anything Porsche, it is confidence inspiring in the sense of it's not gonna let you slide. But I think suspension definitely needs to be attended to on this car. And so I'll be doing some more videos on this experience here, but it has been quite an adventure. Would I do it again? I'm not so sure. But, either way, please keep your eyes open for more 996 content. Okay, so there you have it. I feel very fortunate that I didn't have any mishaps on the way home. I did my due diligence on the car. Seller seemed good, as you saw on video. Outside of anything that was known that was sold to me unknowingly, that didn't happen. Also, nothing kind of broke on the way home. And if you know anything about these older Porsches, I mean, stuff can just show up. And so thank goodness that didn't happen. Ended up really enjoying taking the car on some twisties on the way home too, so that was fun. And so now I got to get this thing assessed, and I got to decide whether or not I want to do a few things to it. Suspension's very much on my mind, but I'm not sure I want to buy coilovers. Anyway, I'm now going to tell you what I paid for this car. I paid $32,500, so that was the price of the car. The pre-purchase inspection was $950, I think, and the seller graciously offered to split that with me. And then, of course, I had some incidentals, so I stayed in some hotels, and I had to buy a plane ticket up there. But there's that. So if you haven't subscribed already and you want to get some 996 content, please subscribe and ring the bell so you're notified when I publish future 996 videos, along with any other Porsche videos. So hope you've enjoyed this particular 996 video, and I hope to see you next time.